I'd like to introduce today's presenter, Laura Robinson. Laura, you now have the floor.
Hi, good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are. And thanks for attending the session today on Microsoft Dynamics Marketing. I'm Laura Robinson. I'm a technology specialist for Dynamics, and I'm going to be presenting today's presentation and demo. As Rob mentioned, if you've got any questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A pane, and we'll go ahead and tackle them as we go along. So when we talk about marketing, we're really talking about a whole breadth of activities that originate from an entire marketing organization. And so there are a lot of different challenges and changes happening very quickly in the landscape. And a lot of these changes are around the technologies that are used. And so what we found is several key things, and one of the most poignant ones, I believe, is the amount of influence that a CMO has over an entire corporate strategy based on the technologies that they're using to reach customers, the technologies being used to create a consistent brand experience, as well as report on what kinds of marketing activities and outreach are working and which ones aren't. And so we're dealing with this on a daily basis, and we see a lot of these patterns within our customers when we talk to them on a daily basis. So about a few years ago, the Dynamics Group purchased a company called Marketing Pilot, and we've integrated that company into our broader set of CRM products and have rebranded it Microsoft Dynamics Marketing. And so what we're looking at is a full scope of capabilities from planning to execution to connections with CRM in order to get ties to your data results. And so top of mind items that are helping us drive where we're heading with the Dynamics Marketing product, and frankly several different products related to marketing, are really around how do we enable organizations to build a consistent brand across products, across services, and across channels. How do we help organizations engage one-to-one? So personalizing the interactions at every turn. How are we building the solution sets that enable companies to do that? And then demonstrating impact. So we'll actually start out there in the demo today, but how are we enabling organizations to connect different disparate point solutions, different sets of data, connecting not just marketing results, but also to sales, as well as customer service, and measure what that impact is. So when we think about marketing organizations, what we recognize first and foremost is that there's a lot of complexity just within a marketing organization around the different types of roles that exist, whether they're in-house or outsourced. You've got different roles that specialize in different areas and are codependent on each other. So, for example, email marketing and your designer. Oftentimes, a designer is contributing to the email marketing content, and so there is that relationship. And we recognize that when you've got this highly collaborative group of individuals, you've also got a lot of different solutions that are being used to manage how marketing organizations execute campaigns. And so that's one area that we are very clear on within Dynamics Marketing, is how do we best enable organizations to do all of the planning, to track projects, or whether you call them projects or jobs, track all of those activities that go into actually launching a campaign. So within the demo today, we're going to talk about some of the capabilities around how do we deliver a consistent brand experience. How do we make sure that we are targeting internal and external resources and getting tasks assigned and allocated and approvals set up so that we're not missing a step? And when things change, how do we adjust for those changes? And then how do we collaborate with the sales team so that we're ensuring that the leads that are getting generated are effectively accepted by the sales team? So whereas we've got this focus on the internal and how marketing organizations are collaborating, we've also got a focus within the application on external customer engagement. So we're looking at a range of activities along this spectrum that you see here. And I know that this isn't necessarily a linear path. A lot of companies I talk to have made investments at different points along the way, or perhaps many of them are doing a lot of these different things, but maybe in different ways. So we're looking at kind of a maturity scale here and covering a full range of that, from on the lower left-hand side, just having your CRM database set up so that you're actively tracking the right data about your customers that you need in order to set up your marketing campaigns, to just some basic email marketing, to how are you building some really rich and value-based content marketing, over to how are you scoring leads coming in? Are you scoring leads coming in? How does that contribute to the handoff from marketing to sales, and how do we optimize those conversion points? And then kind of in the top right-hand corner, what we're looking at is a lot of predictive marketing. So how can we leverage other solutions like Azure machine learning in order to predict what the customer's next best action should be, or what their next best purchase should be, and then use our marketing application to take action on that, to send them an offer, to personalize a web page. And so we're looking at kind of this full range, but what I do tend to find is that customers I talk to have a lot of different points covered, and maybe not fully shaded in, but partially along the way. So within the demo, we're going to take a look at engagement and execution, and we'll kind of do a coverage of the planning, but also how do we execute those campaigns within the context of the customer journey. And then finally, demonstrating impact. So taking a tool like Power BI, which I will walk through here momentarily, and use that as a layer to get insights into your marketing campaigns, but also data that exists in CRM, as well as any other data sources. So we could be pulling in data from e-commerce. We could be pulling in data from another data warehouse. Things like that. We are able to consolidate into some Power BI reports, and then further do some Q&A searches off of that data. And so what we find is that a lot of companies have a lot of different marketing point solutions, but really getting that data out and getting it and making sense of it and understanding where to continue to invest or stop investing in different campaigns and programs. So I'm going to pause the presentation here and go to my demo. And I'll just give the link a moment to catch up there. And so what we should be seeing here is what's called Microsoft Power BI, and this is actually a public preview of the next iteration of Power BI. Power BI is a service provided by Microsoft Office 365, and it's an online service that is like all of the Excel pivots, if you're an Excel guru, on turbo mode. And so you've got the ability to very easily create visual representations of data, but then also do what I mentioned before, which is a query on it. So in this case, we're looking at several different views of data from Dynamics Marketing as well as Dynamics CRM. And so I've got things like how many leads overall are we tracking across the timeline? What kinds of leads are we tracking across the different programs we're running? What are our revenue amounts as well as our total costs for our campaigns? And any of these I can drill into, and this is live data feeding into Power BI. And so once the data refreshes, my chart's going to refresh as well. And so I can kind of move along this path. I can see, get an understanding of where our spikes are. We can get some different data in there and really start drilling in. Now, if you have ever had the experience of having to report on your marketing effectiveness and your boss needs it by the end of the day, you know what a nightmare that can be. And so one thing that we found is really useful for marketing organizations is this Q&A, where you can go in and ask questions and get some ad hoc answers very quickly. So if I start typing in leads converted by campaign, so we've got that timeline, but we want to see it across campaigns, it's going to start to populate my BI chart based on that data. So I can see my Sentinel campaign for 2015 is really the highest lead generating campaign that we've got running out of our active campaigns. So we're going to go into that campaign here in just a moment. So let's take, I'm going to now switch over from Power BI into CRM. Now, across the whole Dynamics suite of products, depending on how familiar you are with Dynamics, you know, you might be more familiar with CRM, you might be familiar with marketing, you might be familiar with some of our ERP products. And so Dynamics covers our whole breadth of business applications. What I'm going to show you today is, in addition to the Power BI, also Dynamics CRM in context with Dynamics Marketing. So I'm going to flip over to Dynamics CRM and spend a little bit of time here. So this is a live CRM online environment. It is hosted in the cloud alongside my Power BI and alongside Dynamics Marketing. And within CRM, I've got the ability to create different dashboards, and in this case, I've got a dashboard that shows some of the same metrics that we were looking at, but really geared around those campaigns that I've created that are of interest to me, as well as in the middle here, you'll see sentiment analysis across the brand that I'm monitoring in Microsoft Social Listening for Dynamics Marketing. So these are just kind of things top of mind as a marketer that I want to make sure that I'm capturing. Now you'll notice, and if you're familiar with CRM, you will know that CRM contains out of the box a sales module, a service module, and a marketing module, as well as settings and help. But these sales, service, and marketing are the core areas where we're focused on our customers. Now, the marketing module in CRM is a very light step into marketing. So it contains objects such as campaigns, quick campaigns, marketing lists, and some other related items. And it's going to give you just kind of a, you know, one at a time ability to create campaigns and execute them. Dynamics Marketing, and that's the tab that we'll spend the most amount of time in over here, that's really your full marketing end-to-end solution. And so we'll take a look at that in just a moment. But for now, I'm in CRM because this is really the hub of all my customer information. And so what I want to do is take a view of contacts and invite them to that Sentinel event campaign that we've got running, because that campaign has been especially effective. So I'm going to go from my dashboard view over to a view of contacts. Now, I could do this as a marketer. I could also be doing this as a salesperson. So depending on what your process is for how you get marketing lists put together, it's typically, you know, either under the ownership of the marketing team or a combination of marketing with some sales input. And so I could be in either role and do the same thing. And so what I'm going to do in CRM is I'm going to take a look at a view that I created called my high value contacts. So these are contacts that I've got some data around how much they've spent with us based on past order history, and that's going to be an integration point for my ERP system. We're not going to get into that point. But basically what I've got the ability to do is a very easy query on all of those contacts that meet a certain threshold of spend. So I can see this list here, and one of the first things I want to call out is if you are in a sales capacity and you're looking at a list of these contacts, one thing that's new with the latest release of Dynamics Marketing and CRM is the ability to select multiple contacts or multiple accounts, and you've got an option within your drop-down menu, once you enable the functionality, to view these individuals in the marketing portal. So this is, from a sales perspective, a great view where I can understand which contacts are going to be targeted for which campaigns and across a timeline view. So in this case, I've got a week's worth of campaigns running. I can open that up to see the monthly view. And so I can understand, if I'm going to give Abraham a call here shortly, that I know he's been engaged in several of these different campaigns already. I can see that he was involved in the Sentinel campaign for 2014. We're going to re-enroll him for the 2015 campaign. So I might want to point that out in my next conversation so I have a little bit more context. So this just essentially gives me insight into my campaign context. Now this is across campaign name. If I wanted to drill down into the actual activities of the campaign, we can get that granular. So I can go back to that Sentinel campaign of last year, and I can see the tweet that went out. I can see the event that happened. Let me scroll down a little bit. I could see things like emails that have already been sent, but you can see they exist kind of in the past before our range here. And really understand what did those emails look like and how might they have been targeted for Abraham. So we get an actual view of what's happening, and this is a view that we started out from CRM, but we're actually viewing that data that exists in Dynamics Marketing. Okay. So let me close out of this. Now, one last thing I might want to do here. If I'm on target to talk to Abraham in the next week or so, and I see that there are some campaigns coming up that he's targeted for example, this high-value customer campaign, I can see that this campaign includes a couple of emails, but it also includes a landing page where customers can register for this new business service offering. So because Abraham's targeted for this, I might want to go in and set up an alert that shows me when does Abraham register for that particular landing page. So I'm going to go in here and just search for that option and add Abraham. And I can add multiple different landing pages. I could add different contacts. And I want to be notified the instant Abraham signs up for that campaign. So I'm going to go ahead and hit submit. And that's an alert that I've got set up that allows me to kind of, set it once and forget about it. That's tied to some marketing events that I know Abraham is targeted for. Okay, so that's really, I shifted a bit more into a sales role there, but when we think about how sales and marketing can work together a lot better, that's one of the key things that I think is important for any salesperson, is to have that visibility into marketing, but also be able to get those triggers and self-service, frankly, when do their contacts engage in those marketing activities. Okay, so we're in our list. I'm going to go back to CRM here, and we've got these people that we've looked at their marketing activities. I'm going to take these individuals now and maybe shift back into my marketing role and add them to a marketing list I've got set up. Now, again, this can be a sales-driven activity. It could be a marketing-driven activity. But at the end of the day, what I want to do is just get some people on a list I've set up for high-value prospects to include in that Sentinel 2015 campaign. So I'm going to select this marketing list. Now, if this was a list that we needed to create, I could go ahead and hit new here. But I'm going to select this one that's already in flight. Okay, so these individuals are now on the list. Now, thinking about how Dynamics Marketing and Dynamics CRM work together, there is a native connector that exists when you've got these two environments up and running that connects some, pretty baseline, and also several different custom types of fields back and forth. And so in this case, our marketing list is a type of object that is synced back and forth between CRM and marketing, and you can set up the sync configuration on that. And when I have individuals who are added to or removed or any kind of list management happen on the CRM side, it's going to update my list in Dynamics Marketing. So let's flip over to marketing. I'm simply going to go up to my marketing tab up here and select it. So I'm logged into both. I'm authenticated through Office 365, and I've got my marketing application open at this point. So just to recap, if anybody took a pause for coffee or has just come back, we've been in CRM and we're moving into Dynamics Marketing. Now you can have them connected. You can also leverage each of them standalone if you wish to do that. And in fact, we do have customers that take advantage of that flexibility. So in my marketing dashboard, I've got items that are really targeted around how do I work within my marketing organization. So these are things that aren't all that specific to customers all the time, but they're things like how am I tracking to my budget? Let me just uncheck that unassigned channel. So for example, if I go into my email marketing channel, I can understand what budget's been allocated. I can see where we are in terms of actual spend and percentage, and I can do this across channels, or if I want, I could do this across different programs or campaigns, however you want to define that. If I scroll down here, I have a similar view to my dashboard in CRM where I'm tracking sentiment, but I'm tracking a few other things within my social listening widget on my dashboard. And when I look at my menu here, it's going to look very different from CRM in that we are shifting away from the sales, service, and marketing in the CRM application, and in Dynamics Marketing, I've got things like projects. So if I drop down this menu, I can see all of the jobs that I own as well as my team members, and these are things like creating collateral for different programs or different campaigns. They might be external job requests. So if I've got a sales team that I'm supporting and they want to do an event in their region, for example, they could submit a job request through the job request menu here. This is also where I can see all of my approvals and tasks. So if I just take a moment and go into my approvals and see what's outstanding that I need to approve, I can go in here and you can see I'm way behind on several approvals. And I need to get on a lot of these and go ahead and make sure I'm checking off on my parts. So these are all the ones that I am responsible for. If I drill up a level, let's say I'm managing a team, I can see all of them that exist. So we might be able to understand kind of what the workload looks like across different approvals across my whole team. And the same applies for tasks. So oftentimes marketing groups have no visibility into what the task workload looks like across different team members. So here I can see, again, if I open this up to view all, I can see all the tasks, who they're assigned to. I can see who's assigned them. I've got quite a few that I need to go ahead and check off, but you kind of get the idea. Within marketing execution, this is another area where we're really going deep on those specific activities that really the marketers care about most deeply. And so primarily we've got campaign management. Now to take a quick pause and orient around definitions. In the system, we leverage a hierarchy of programs at the top of the hierarchy, and then campaigns that roll up to programs. And within campaigns, we can include a lot of different related items that we'll go through. But essentially, when you're setting up your structure and you've got your own definitions of how you're running the initiatives that you're running, you can tailor the system to kind of support that. The way it occurs out of the box is through programs and through campaigns. So we'll spend most of our time in that Sentinel campaign, but I want to highlight a couple of other things here. So the marketing list that we added those individuals to, marketing lists appear in Dynamics Marketing as well. And so these are, again, lists that we've got pulling over from CRM. These could also be lists that maybe we're just originating directly from Dynamics Marketing. Or they could be lists that are coming from an external source. So we have the ability to integrate from external sources and add people and take people off based on external data. If I search for my list that I just added, I can see that I've got that high value prospect list here ready to go. So we're going to add this to that existing Sentinel campaign. If I scroll to the right, we're not going to leverage all of these items in this part of the demo, but essentially we've got the ability to track a lot of different things from online visitors, websites, some landing page functionality, which is more or less some web form functionality in existing landing page in an existing web page. We've got the ability to track event management, including webinar types of events as well as in-person physical events. And so one analogy I like to apply here is, taking the event management out of that binder that if you've ever managed events, you're used to kind of lugging around, and plugging all those logistics into the application. So you can track a lot of different things with the event management. And then we've got the ability to tie into social media. We've got some posts set up in our Sentinel event that we'll cover, and we'll look at email marketing within the context of the campaign as well. Before we get into the campaign for the Sentinel event, a couple other items to point out. We've got the ability to do full digital asset management within the application. So we'll look at some files in the context of the campaign. We'll also look at how do we incorporate some of those into some of our email messages and things like that. And then within this part of the app, we also have the ability to do some media planning and media buying. And so oftentimes that's outsourced, but if you have an opportunity to manage that, you can do all of that within this application as well. And then in terms of budgeting, what we're trying to do here is move organizations outside of the world of spreadsheets and get those budgets into the application so we can really start tracking our costs against campaigns and tie that to real results. And so here you've got a full breadth of capabilities around building out all of the budget workbooks and tying them into the different channels, different payment processes, things like that. Okay, so now that we've gone through a little bit of orientation here, let's go to the campaign we've got set up. And the campaign we want to take a look at is our Sentinel event 2015. So we ran one of these events last year, but we're going to run another one because last year's event was so successful. And in fact, this one has already been successful, as we saw from our Power BI chart. So as I go into the event here, I can see several different key points about the event. I can see when it's due to run. I can see what categories we're tying these to so that we can have that reporting output. And you can configure the system to capture those data points as well. In this case, we are rolling it up to a program for customer engagement. And so when I'm on my Power BI reports and I'm looking across the different programs to understand which programs are generating more leads than others, this is one of my data points I'm capturing. We've also got the ability to apply lead scoring, and I'll walk through this in a little bit. But essentially, what we're doing here is we're scoring across the whole journey of the event. Now, lead scoring I've seen represented in a few different ways, more or less 3 different ways. So we can apply lead scoring in a very simple way if there is an activity that the lead does that would want to, we'd want to have direct handoff to sales. And an example of that would be to host a contact us form on your website. So obviously, that's really the only data that matters. If you've got somebody who fills out that form, let's go ahead and flip that right over to sales. Otherwise, you can set up lead scoring models across campaigns so that we're tracking the individual activities within the campaign and aggregating a score based on that. Or we can have it cross campaign. So we can set up lead scoring rules that are tracking different campaigns. So if you've got an individual that is consistently downloading white papers across different campaigns you're running, that might be a trigger to engage them with a salesperson. So we'll go through that in a minute. Another point here is we've got a lot of what we'll walk through is the flow of this campaign shortly, but in this campaign we've got a lot of different activities we're tracking. And so because we've done this campaign in the past, we have a response model that we've built to track and understand if we are on target based on some averages that we've noted in our past results. So in this case, across the span of a month, we are looking at when we expect to drive a lot of interest across those days, and that's according to the different activities we're running as well. So we are tracking, for example, some basics like how many leads are generated, but also attendees and orders and sales and tweets. And so a lot of the different activities are going to drive what kinds of results we set up here. Okay, so let's go into the flow of the campaign. So if I'm creating a campaign brand new, I will go in and add some of this data right away, but I also want to start what I like to call the post-it process for planning that campaign out. So let's take a look at our post-it board here. Let me zoom out. So this campaign has been largely built out, and I'm going to walk through some of these different components. So first of all, we've got our green boxes, and these are our marketing list. These are the people we're inviting, the people we're targeting for the campaign. And I can see if I open this up, I can see there are two lists that occur. And we're going to add the high value prospect list to this as well in a moment. We've got it running, we have ran an email test, an A/B test on which invite is going to be more successful. And so we've got that all set up, and that's gone out. And so we can see which email is more effective according to different criteria, and then understand and set the criteria for what qualifies the winning email, and then go ahead and send that out automatically. So that's been done. And we can see those results here in line in the item itself. So we can see Event A had 11 deliveries, Event B had 100 and more opens, and this is the one that ended up winning based on the little ribbon right here. Within that email, we're linking to a landing page to register for the event. So we'll take a look at what that looks like. And then we're going to go ahead and set up some scoring right away. So if they walk through this, we can go ahead and score them. And then these orange boxes are our response types. So we've got two different response types. We've got the lightning bolts, and these are our triggers, and then we've got the clocks, and these are our wait statements. And so we've got the ability to set up branching from the triggers and then other schedule-based items with the clocks. So if I scroll down here, we'll see that this gets even more complicated when we start including a channel around social marketing. And so in this case, we've got our Facebook post going out with the content, including the invitation, and then our Twitter handle that's posting as well. And so we're kind of covering all angles. So this is kind of an easy shortcut. If you're using a tool like Hootsuite or another type of social media engagement application and you're scheduling tweets out, this just gives you a little bit of a shortcut. You can certainly still monitor the responses in those apps, but this helps you kind of streamline it all and make sure you're including the right collateral so you do have that brand experience that's consistent. Okay, so let's zoom back in and we'll take a look at some of these items. Now, I don't know if you we're paying attention and notice this, but I did scroll up for momentarily to understand is my campaign activated yet? Now this is the demo campaign, so it's been activated, it's been deactivated, and we could go ahead and activate it again. But essentially we've got the ability, once we've got all these tiles locked down and we're ready to go, we can validate it to make sure we don't have any errors in our flow or any points where we're dropping off, and then we can activate that campaign. So I'm going to take a look at our list here, and remember we're going to include that marketing list that we built over in CRM. So let's go ahead and take a static list and drop it into the list of lists. Okay, so it's going to ask us to define what that is. And I'm going to go into my list just by double clicking. And now these are ones that I've built, but also we can set that view to show all lists that are available in the system. And we want this high value prospect list because that is one that was syncing over from the from CRM. So I'm going to select that list and add it to my event. Now once we activate it, all those people who haven't received or haven't gone through this flow yet will go through this process. So the next thing I want to do is drill into what the email looks like. And so as I'm setting up the campaign, I can just plug in these shells of activities and start defining them after I've actually created the content. And so if I look at my event invite B and open that up in editor mode, I can either grab a template and throw it in here, or I can start creating a brand new email. And then as we go through, and let me go ahead and show you the designer view. We can start plugging in different content blocks as well as different layout blocks. So in this case, we've got a column, we've got some images, some text, and we can plug that in as we go along. So if I wanted to go ahead and take an image and insert it maybe somewhere down here at the bottom, we could do that. We can go into that image, and that is based on our media library, so we might want to go ahead and take some images from here and plug that in. Maybe want to include a video or something like that. So it's pretty simple. I'm going to go ahead and remove that for the next person here. And then we've got the ability to preview those across different layouts. When you go ahead and activate this, it's going to do a test send to the email address you've got listed for yourself, but you can preview this across devices here. Now once we've got that email activated and we've activated the campaign, and I go back to my data view, I can start to get real results about that email itself. So if I look at the email and drill into the chart, I can see a chart of its performance, how many individuals opened versus clicks, unique clicks, total clicks, hard bounces, and so on. If I check out the summary view, I get a little bit more granular detail, and so I can see more things like forwards, unsubscribes, things like that. Now you'll notice one here, blocked due to cross-campaign rules. We've got the ability to set up a cross-campaign rule or multiple rules that help you limit how many touch points you have with your customers so you're not overloading them with information. So for example, if you've got a contact who happens to be on several different marketing lists, but you have a rule set up so that they don't receive more than 2 emails a week, then that's going to hold true if you've got subsequent sends going out. And it operates as in a first come first serve basis, so a lot of that is going to be, coordination, but your customer is protected from that. Okay, so we've got our email set up. I've got a landing page that it's linked to as well. So let's take a look at this landing page. Okay, so the landing page is, as I mentioned, a web form that we can plug into existing web pages. And so we've got the ability to set up the lead definition. We've got the ability to tweak the content, and that can be in the directly in here in the layout, but also plug in the different fields that we need to capture. So these are out-of-the-box fields, but we could certainly have custom fields that we're looking to capture, and basically plug those into this site. So if I go to this event page, and I've just got a page set up, I can go ahead and register. And then it's going to, and we've just got some key details we're capturing, and I go ahead and register that. And so that's going to push me into Dynamics Marketing instantly, and we'll take a look at that hitting our campaign in a moment. Okay, so I'm going to go back here, and let's go ahead and close out of this landing page and talk a little bit about some of the other objects here. As I mentioned, I'll jump to this trigger here because we've defined it and then opened it back up. I'm actually going to remove this scoring model because it's confusing things. But I'm going to go ahead and define my trigger based on who's registered. So when I open up my trigger type, because I've got these two items preceding that trigger, it's going to ask me, do I want to base my trigger off of that landing page or the email? So we could have, we've got our pick of options. In this case, I want to make sure that the user registered. And then based on that, we're running our event. And then based on that, we've got another trigger set up so that if the user attended, we're going to set up a task with the sales team. And this is going to integrate back over to CRM for the sales team to follow up. And we're also modifying our marketing list a little bit here. And we've got some other activities like, wait statement so that, we send them a VIP invitation to the next event, perhaps the one we have the next year, and maybe some pre-registration. So that's kind of the flow. Now this isn't ready to activate because we've got things plugged in here that we haven't defined yet. But as you go through and start creating your campaign, you can define those items. Now let's go back to the list view of our campaign and talk about how do we build that content. And then we're going to wrap it up with looking at that lead that came in that I just created. So in this campaign, I'm back in the data view of the campaign. I'm going to just minimize my results section here. We've got all sorts of related items to this campaign. And so we can track anything from briefs to specific approvals on this campaign, advertisements, whatever we're running here. In this case, we do have budget set up. That we're tracking against this campaign. So we've got several different budget workbooks that, we've got some expenses that we're starting to hit against, and then these are across different channels as well as some campaign data. So we're going to be able to track the results across the budgets we've got set up for within this campaign. If I move down to expenses, we're tracking that as well. So this, again, is all going to be that backbone that's going to help us pull data and realize that data in the Power BI context that we showed at the beginning here. So this is my cost so far of this campaign. And then I want to take a look at some job items. So at the beginning, at the beginning of the presentation, we talked a lot about how Dynamics Marketing has a robust resource management component to it. And jobs are the primary item within that context. And so against this campaign, let me just pull open my column here. I've got several jobs. So we've got a lot of collateral we're creating for this campaign. We've got emails that are going out. We've got landing pages that we need to design. We've got maybe some videos we're creating for that campaign that I wanted to plug into that email. And so we've got the ability to track these in different jobs so that we can allocate the tasks to different team members and make sure that we're all tracking on the same page. So this is really the core project management part. Now, in this job for creating a video for the campaign, we've got it displayed on our web portal. So if you've got external users, like an agency that you work with, or contractors that you're leveraging to build some of these components, they can have a web portal license, which doesn't consume a full paid license to Dynamics Marketing, but it's a light version so that they can go in, they can grab those files, they can do markups, they can upload files, they can approve files, they can do versioning, they can access tasks, in this list. And so you've got that ability through that web portal user. We've also got this item billable. So if you wanted to start the stopwatch and start timing how long does it take to complete tasks, you can enable that as well. And that might be for your reporting purposes or for payment, but that's an option. So let's go to tasks here. And I'm going to open this up in an edit mode. Now, a lot of this application is template driven, meaning we have a template that we've got set up for any time we're creating or producing a video, because video production is a highly involved process involving a lot of different people. And so in this case, we've got a template set up that has placeholders for different owners of these different tasks. And as we go through, we can start to assign things out. So if we've got a studio manager responsible for video production, and I know that I want to put Matt as that video producer, I can or the studio manager for that production, I can go ahead and add Matt in that placeholder. So then on Matt's end, he's going to get that task in his task list, and we can set up an alert so that he gets an email if that task is sent to him brand new. So that's all well and good. We've got the ability to do a cadence of tasks. We've got different start dates and due dates for these tasks that are driven off of the end date. Now, what happens if something changes? So in a lot of cases, you've got timelines that are moving. You've got different variables within your business that you're having to account for, and things change. So if we need to, let's say, take this and move it up a week in terms of when it's due so that we can make sure we're getting our campaign out on time, I'm going to change that due date. And we're going to have to account for all of these tasks in line to that due date. So if I hit submit here, I get a notification that, hey, your job duration overall has changed. We need you to do something with the rest of the tasks. So we can choose to do no change, which would be a little silly because then people would be turning things in after it's due, or we can shift the job itself altogether as well as its dates, task dates, or we can just compress or expand the tasks. In this case, it's a compress because we're shortening the time frame. So that's going to help us manage all those different team members that are involved in this job to create the video for the campaign. I'll do a quick pause since it seems like my wireless is giving me a hiccup. If you've got questions about any of this, or if there have been any questions that have come up, feel free to go ahead and put them in the Q&A pane at this point. All right. So let's go ahead and switch over to IE. How about that? An unexpected demonstration of how to log into our Office 365 applications is happening right in front of your eyes. That easy. So let's go ahead and jump back into the marketing part. I want to go back to the campaign, and talk about that lead that we captured and a little bit about the scoring. So let's go back to the campaign here. I mentioned briefly this lead scoring model. So let's take a quick look at the lead scoring. Now we can apply, as I mentioned, a number of different rules, or very simple rules, or a rule that's going to designate eventually a status of sales ready. That's what we want to get to. So we can add different rules here based on data, based on activities, based on events, based on external data, and those rules we're going to add scores to so that they aggregate and produce what we call a sales ready score. Now you can have different grades of stages here. In this case we've got a nurturing stage, which you'll notice has a -10 to 5. So we've got the ability to deprecate scores based on other activity. We've got a kind of middle band of engagement, and then sales ready. And this sales ready grade, when that hits yes, we are automatically flipping that lead over to CRM. So let's go back to our campaign and we'll look at the leads that have come in. Okay, so you'll notice that I've got one lead here, but that's just because I'm looking at what leads do I own. I'm going to change this to show all, because the lead assignment rules are also running on the back end. And we can see that I've got a contact and a lead that is based on that event form I just registered for. So we can see that exact time that happened. So if I go into the lead itself, we've got a view of that, and I have been scored at a tip-top score of 15 so far. So I've actually made it to the sales qualified or sales ready qualification based on that one registration. If I look down at the interactions, I can see where that exists. So if you're tracking multiple different interaction points and that's going to drive your lead score, then those will show up and you can have a different radar here. But in this basic campaign, that's how we're scoring. I'm going to go back for a moment and highlight a couple of other things about leads, and then we'll flip back over to CRM. So one of the other things to point out is that a lead definition in Dynamics marketing is really anybody that has raised their hand. So they are interested in something that you've engaged with them on. And so you can have one contact in Dynamics marketing that has related to it one or many leads. And so we think of these as hand raisers, essentially. So it's a little bit different than leads in CRM, which are more our sales ready leads. And so this is good for organizations that would rather keep their marketing unsales ready hand raisers out of CRM until they're really truly scored properly and ready to be picked up by the sales team as a sales qualified lead. And so to tell you a little bit more about that, if I go into this contact for Liz Lemon of TGS, and I go down and take a look at all the leads for Liz has raised her hand many times. And so we actually have a lot of different opportunities to further qualify Liz as a lead and pass that over to sales. We can also take a look at all of the other types of engagement we've had with Liz by looking at the marketing engagement option. So in addition to the leads, the hand raising, we can see the different email marketing messages on the contact level that she's received, as well as if she had any website visits, as well as any landing page submissions. Okay, so we kind of get that full view at the contact level. Now let's flip over to CRM And because I'm authenticated in Dynamics Marketing, my CRM should just pop right up. I'll fast forward through this handy dandy item here. And let's go down to, within my dashboard, I've got a view of all of my high score leads. So these are leads that are coming in real time, and you can see that I've got Laura Robinson showing up, and these are ones that are assigned to me, and this is the one that I created within this demo time frame. So there's my score of 15. I can open up this lead here, and the salesperson can then take the lead and really start working it through the CRM process. So is this an existing contact? Yes, it's been matched to an existing contact. Is this a part of an existing account? Yes, it is. We can do some other nice things with regards to tracking other activity, but essentially this gets it into the sales process, however you define your process and qualify out that lead. So that's a quick view of, how we actually started out in Power BI to get some insight into which campaigns were most effective. And then we transitioned into CRM here, and we built our marketing list based on those high value contacts. We had that marketing list automatically synced to Dynamics Marketing for the marketing team to incorporate into their Sentinel event for 2015. And then we built out that event. We leveraged jobs to get the work done, and then if we had fast forward in time and activated that event, we've got some real-time leads coming in and passing back over to sales to continue to follow up. So a pretty quick closed loop scenario in 60 minutes or less. And that sums up the duration of the demo for this presentation. So I'm going to flip back over to my slide here and just spend a couple of minutes, the remaining time, on what's next. So if you like anything that you saw and you want to learn more, I encourage you to go to our website where you can do some test drives of this functionality. So if you want to get your hands on it and just kind of walk through what I walked through in a nutshell, go to crm.dynamics.com and you can peruse the sales test drives, the marketing test drives, the customer service test drives, as well as social listening. So we kind of touched on that a little bit. But you can try these all on and see how they fit. And then if you want to learn more about how the different components work, we have a Microsoft Dynamics channel on YouTube. And this is just a wealth of content around how very granular levels of different features, different core areas of the different product offerings. So I encourage you to go to either or both of those places to learn more. And if you're interested in just signing up and you're wondering, well, how much does this cost? Dynamics Marketing standalone costs $125 per user per month. And so a very, very competitive cost in the context of our whole integrated marketing management landscape. And if you're interested in bundling up marketing and sales and service and social into one license, we've got that at a very heavily discounted cost of $200 a user a month. So that's my wrap-up of the sales pitch, and hopefully this was informative. Hopefully you learned something. And I just want to say thank you for your time. And if you've got any questions, I'll ask Rob to open up the line here, and we can cover any remaining questions.
All right, Laura. Yeah, it looks like we currently do not have any questions in the queue for you.
Okay, no worries. And I took it right up to the last minute, so we can go ahead and wrap up. Again, if you want to reach out to me and connect, I am on Twitter. Feel free to message me there at Laura Rob CRM.